One of the ideas that I've been having this year has been working with old photographs from when I was younger. This kind of spurred on from me finding some photographs of me and my sister in the same position on the same chair but at different times, kind of like this idea of duality and the idea of being the same but not quite the same. I found a couple of other ones, like us on bikes in my nana's garden. Different bikes, different times, but kind of the same, different. And us in the bath as well. I think that's quite a common thing. Parents always seem to take pictures of their kids in the bath. Why? But anyway, I found all these photos and I've been doing some writing, basically just writing about various memories from the point of view of me now, and also from the point of view of me as a kid. So anyway, I decided to take one of these memories, which is from when I was 6. Yeah, my sister was diagnosed with diabetes. She was very ill for quite a while, and the funny thing about this memory is I can't remember exactly whether it was something I was forced to do or something that I wanted to do, but I used to practice giving insulin injections on oranges just after she was diagnosed. I don't know whether this is me wanting to be involved, because I did feel quite like I was the second child. Obviously I wasn't, and obviously it was because I was young and couldn't quite see the situation for what it was. Obviously I was really sad about what was going on with her, and obviously as a young kid I also wanted attention myself. It seems like a bad thing to say, but unfortunately it's the truth of being a kid, is that you don't quite have the same sense of the world as you do when you get a bit older. So yeah, I don't know whether it's something I wanted to do to be involved, something I wanted to do to help her, or something my parents wanted me to do. I can't remember. And that's what I quite like about the memory, and what I quite like about childhood memories is that you always remember them with such a weird light. Like, sometimes there are certain memories I have, such as just from when I was really, really young, like 2 or 3, that I don't really know if they're even real, or if they're partially real, or if they're completely, they could be completely truthful, but you just don't know, because in your head over time things get a bit distorted, or sometimes you'll hear things and you're young enough, or you just repeat them often enough that they become a part of your memory, whether they are or not. So I quite like working with these memories, and the orange one in particular I thought had some strong imagery. So this is what prompted me to create some Photoshop images using the orange skin, taking out the body and parts of the body, the face and stuff, and filling it with orange peel. It's not that I didn't like it, but it was obviously, to me, it worked like a sketch, It wasn't anything that I would hang in a gallery. It was just something that I did to kind of test it out. And in that light, I think it was pretty cool, because I think, as I said, the orange is interesting, and you're looking at it and you're like, what? And I think that makes it quite cool. But however, one of the problems that I previously stated that I have is that there is too big a gap between what I've created and what the viewer can understand without being prompted. I think this leaves some scope for me to include some language in it, maybe, or I'm going to have to, if I choose to take this further, I would have to tackle it in a different way. Because you can't just present somebody with some kids that have been photoshopped into oranges, because you'd just be like, what's this? I mean, I know a title can say a lot, but how much can it say? It can't really say, because it's such a specific memory. Like, I also did some Photoshop images with the bathtub, using Photoshop to just obscure the face, basically, and just in random ways getting rid of everything. And I was just working with just, basic ideas of obscurity. And that's fine. I feel like, or so many people I know have memories of their parents taking pictures of them and their friends in the bath, just like, everyone's smiling and everyone holding up stuff, and everyone's just like, yeah. And you get all these weird, inappropriate pictures when you're a kid. And I think that those are universal. And you see two kids in a bath, you don't think anything of it. You just think that's a standard parent photo. You also have pictures of kids brushing their teeth and on the toilet, things like that. You just do. However, the orange one, not so universal, not one that everyone can be like, oh yeah, me too, I remember that. So this is where I'd have to adapt it further. One of the ideas I did have, which I thought could be quite interesting, was to make a head mask, like the big headpiece I've been making with my sausages, but make it out of orange peel. Now this is for two reasons. First of all, I like making stuff, and I think that I like to make things, even though I wouldn't consider it sculpture. I like to make objects, and I like to make a physical thing, although I don't think it's entirely necessary that there is a physical later outcome, but I do want to make something. I like making things. That's that. Also, my Photoshop skills aren't good enough. Like, I'm looking at these photos and I think these are fun, these are interesting, and they purvey an idea, but they also aren't very good, and they do display my basic Photoshop skills. I can do edits that don't involve changing the body in quite such a drastic way. Like, part of me thought, oh, I could create like realistic so it's to the same tone as a person. I just don't have that ability, so I can get somebody else to do it for me, but it feels like I'm jumping in a bit too deep. My next thing is that I'm going to do to develop this is, as I said, make a mask. That's something that I've basically just decided on the spot that I think I am going to do that, because, as I said, I like this idea of mask making because it deals with the two things I've been talking about, being overwhelmed and loss of identity, obscurity, all that. These are all ideas that I've had and all feelings that I felt towards my sister at some point, and I think these are the main points of complexity in our relationship, because our relationship on the surface is actually very easy, but it is very complex, and there are definitely aspects of it that I wish to explore. So that's what I'm going to go down the route of. And I think it also might be interesting to be making these two masks at the same time, because making multiple masks that might tackle the same topic but in a different way. My other mask is underway currently. I'm currently making the sausagey things. I couldn't find jersey material in white, so I bought a stretchy material. So it's fine for filling, but then you can also see the stitch line. So that's something that I might need to change but try and work with when it comes to constructing the thing. I've been putting pebbles in some, but not all, because I was thinking about potentially, this isn't a fully formed idea, but there is just this idea in my head that there could be some light involved in it later, and pebbles could be difficult because obviously they'd show up if there was light coming through. But yeah, in terms of orange, I was thinking it might be interesting to work with a material that is a bit weird. Like, as I said, I did a lot of stuff with the sewing and shapes last year, and although I think it's good to continue with themes that you like, I also think it's good to try things that you might not necessarily be comfortable with or used to using. So I thought it might be interesting to try and do something with a material that I've never used. Not that I can remember, have I used anything temporal either? Temporal. So obviously there's the time constraint there, which is hard to get around considering it's dissertation period. But I think I can do it. I'm pretty positive about it. And I think it just might be interesting to see how just the general process of making a mask out of orange peel might work. I plan on sewing it together using red string. I feel like that might work with the colour scheme, but I will give it a go beforehand. But I don't see why it wouldn't work. In my head it works, and I can't see it being entirely different. Also, with my last head piece, the grey sausage one, I used a ski mask, balaclava, as a base. And although this meant easier to construct than I imagine it would be to do it from scratch, Neil suggested I would just try and do it from scratch. And he was like, it may not be as easy and it might look a bit more raw, but that might not necessarily be a bad thing. And although I agree it's kind of a scary concept, just simply because If you're glue gunning these things together and it fucks up, then you've just wasted a lot of time making these things for it to get messed up. I know it's all development, but it's still like wasted time. Also, the balaclava does show through on the mask I made, so I think I'd have to get one that's the same material or not bother with it. My instinct is to say not to bother with it and at least try and give it a go, maybe use some sort of wire to create a base, because I don't think you'd be able to do it without. I just can't see it working. So I think I'll get some wire to do that. Orange peel one, I don't think I'll need it. But with that one, because it's a material I've never used before, it's something that I think it's just going to have to test, trial and error. It may not work, in which case I'd have to tackle the memory aspect from a different way, maybe improve my Photoshop skills. But that's the reflection I've been having on my work so far. As I said, I've also been doing some writing, but I don't know, last year I did some writing, it didn't pan out so well, and then I moved on to remixing other people's writing. I was so much more comfortable with that. Like, I was totally really enjoying it actually. But then this year, because it's not really relevant to my work and I do want to continue writing, I've been writing from scratch, which I'm always a bit uncomfortable with. But yeah, one of the ideas I had and I kind of started was writing these memories, such as the orange memory, but removing my sister from the memory, which seems cruel, but it's, I don't know, it doesn't showcase my writing at all. I've been reading a lot of poets. I've been trying to like get inspiration from them, maybe like Rupi Kaur, who I really like, feminist. But yeah, that's a brief look into what's been going on.